Amazing news. You got your first property under contract. Now what do? People ask me all the time, what are the red flags I should look for? How do I evaluate a lease? What do I do? Well, let's start with rule number one. Rule number one is if you're buying a commercial property, an investment property, even a home for that matter, you get yourself a real estate attorney. You don't go find your friend who works at a law firm. You find a person who's a real estate attorney and you have them run through the contract and do all the title work that has to be done. That is the most important thing you could do, because as a real estate investor, there's so many things that could snag me and trick me up that I want expert lawyers to do it for me. So rule number one is find a lawyer. Rule number two is you got to do a real abstract and review of every single lease. You see, just because you are provided with a nice rent roll, and this doesn't matter if it's a multifamily property or if it's a retail property, what it is, the landlord, the owner, is going to give you a rent roll. You now need to match that to the leases that they provide you, and you need to be darn sure that those leases match the rent roll. And I'll tell you, if you have 20 leases, all 20 are not going to match. You might find discrepancies in your favor, and you might find them against you. And that is why you're going to go to the next step. You're going to have the tenant sign what's called an estoppel letter that says they agree that this is their lease, because it could be a lie. This guy could be telling you the tenant pays $5,000 a month, and then you buy the property and the tenant says, no, I pay $3,000. So you get an estoppel letter. The next thing that's highly important is you must hire a professional environmental company to run a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental report. You do not want to buy a property that has environmental issues, because if you do, you got a major problem. And I know of a guy who just bought a property. He had to drill through the entire floor of a jewelry store to remediate an environmental problem. So that's a headache. So you need an environmental company. Your lawyer is going to get you a surveyor. Your lawyer is going to get all your engineering plans. You need to know if the property is safe to go. But you need to do the inspections. That's the last thing. You need to get a property inspector out there who really understands the construction of the building. You want to make sure the slab is good, the walls are good, the roof is good, the ACs are good, and all that's there. Now, I've been doing this a very long time, but I'm proud to tell you, most of this stuff I'm not qualified to give you a professional opinion on. I'll know a lot of it, but you really need to hire a professional. I need professional AC companies, I need professional roofers, I need a professional inspector to give me an update and audit on the entire building. So between my lawyer, who's going to tell me if everything is correct with zoning, there's no violations, there's no liens that can become a problem, between my environmental companies that are going to tell me I'm buying clean land, and between my structural reports that are going to tell me the building is good, and by me doing the homework on the leases and making sure that the tenants match what they're supposed to match, you should be in good hands. Remember, the first property is supposed to be a small one, so it shouldn't be too complex, but you always need to do the same reports. So get out there and buy some properties and do your due diligence.